My name is Paul Moses, but yeah, I'm commonly addressed as Master Paul. And welcome to Diary of a Master, the Journey of an Entrepreneur. Well, this is a digital journal of my experiences as an entrepreneur, and I really hope this is going to be an actual success story at the end of the day, and not a cautionary tale for entrepreneurs on what not to do. But yeah, I hope it's a success story. Welcome to the very first episode, and this episode is my origin story. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like most origin stories out there gets to give us a better perspective of the character we're watching or the character we're seeing. I mean, the origin story of Spider-Man sets you up for the great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. And you have the origin story of Wolverine, which shows you like why he's so long and so he's set apart. He's just trying to run his own race by himself. And you have the origin story of people like Magneto, who just makes it make sense why this guy was a villain, and all of that. Or like, I'm not the villain of my story. I hope I'm not the villain of the story. But yeah, this is the origin story that led to this very moment. But like every good origin story, we have to start at the very beginning. And the very beginning is the point whereby a beautiful young woman made it all her way across Togo State for an NYC service, right? And at that point in time, a young man was being recruited to actually come work in a paper mill company, also in Ogun State. Right? They get to meet at work, and at church, and they saw that their love for God and dedication to work was all aligned and all of that. And sometime November 1996, they actually decided to take a hold to spend most of their life together, and they followed up on that hold, right? And sometime October 1997, the story began. The story of the master, right? Like people would always say, 16th October 1997, the king was born. But I promise you, the story didn't start that way. Actually, for context sake, I was a stillbirth, right? And for those who don't understand what a stillbirth is, it's like a child that was born dead. It's crazy to think about the fact that my story would have ended when my story was meant to start, right? I mean, this was just the beginning of my story, and then the story was already cut short. Well, I thank God for God, right? And I thank God for faithful parents who didn't give up, who kept continued in prayers. And voila, for those who don't believe in Christ and believe in God, I really apologize. But yeah, it's part of my origin story. I can't take it out. Christ was part of my story. I mean, the miracle of my birth is part of my origin story. It's not something you see out there. You don't see many stillbirths coming back to life. But that was my story, and you have to pray to God, because that was what my parents did. They prayed, and I'm here. So it's really nice to put that in the story. Yeah, that was where the story starts. And we ride on to talk about the first entrepreneur I ever got to meet, which actually happens to be my father, Engineer Muzafman. And, he set the path for me. He was not just a brilliant man, he was a brilliant engineer. I mean, constantly solving problems in the engineering field with a very creative twist. I mean, this man just solved problems, and he saw where people were like, oh my God, there's nothing we can do. And this man just creates a creative solution, and he saves the day. But that is my dad. And, he set the path for me. And, growing up, I go to hear him tell stories about business ideas that I had, and he told me about the number of tool companies. I remember one day he sat me down and he brought out ID cards of a business he had started and failed, and it's stuff like that just sets me up for what to expect, or the worst case scenario. I think it prepped me. It prepped me, because we'll get to that too, but that particular story prepped me. But beyond that, I think if we're going to tell the story from the beginning, we'll go back to my granddad, who actually was a baker who built a booming bakery business all the way in Akwa Ibom. I mean, this was a bakery business that had multiple vans all across. I mean, this had multiple vehicles going all across Akwa Ibom delivering bread. And my grandfather was actually quite a successful entrepreneur himself. I mean, he was so successful that he had so many wives. Yeah, that was part of his success story. That was just like a proof of his success, guy. This man had like many wives. Like, he had so many children. Like, so many grandchildren. Like, just littered the world with children and grandchildren. Well, yeah. So that is the beginning of my story. And you see, all of this leads up to me and my desire be an entrepreneur. But my entrepreneurial journey just starts with my parents being all my grandfather and my father being entrepreneurs. It actually boils down to my experiences as a young child. And one of those experiences was my father buying a computer for me. Now, what led to this, right? It was the fact that my father got a job in a company, and being the only Nigerian, or better still, the only black man working in the company amongst white men and white supremacists. And you know, when I white supremacists, but like, the whites were above, the blacks were below, and he was the only one that could operate a computer. And for that reason, he gained a high level of respect. I'm talking about like access key to the computer room. And back then, for those who don't understand, back then, these were punch card computers. These not like regular computers. These computers that occupy an entire parlor, like a proper big as parlor. I'm not talking about a Lagos today parlor. I'm talking about proper big as parlor. These were the kind of computers that were there back then. And my dad could operate it. And being the only Nigerian, he could set impacts. And he saw all of this, and he decided that he was going to make sure that that path was set for his children as well. Give us an edge. And I'm talking about a time whereby even there were no smartphones. I mean, most of the phones out there was touchlight, Nokia 3310. That was like the winning phone back then. And my dad buys a computer, sets it in the parlor in our family house, and he allows me to play games, to whatever, but just be there. And it actually set up my interest in the tech industry, and that was a major part to play my story, because I think as way back as right after primary school, it takes a bold step of sending me to a computer school. And I mean, I was a young boy in the midst of like elderly people, like, and all those people were trying to learn to use computer because it was important for their work back then. And I was just learning it, and it was really impressive how much it dedicated into my future, because it actually set me on a path, right? It set me on a path, and this path it kept building up to the point where I started learning different tech solutions. I learned different software development processes and all of that thing. And it built me up, right? That just built me up. And, when I was in school, I attempted to start a few businesses. They failed. Yeah, they failed really badly, really badly. But I graduated from school, and I decided that, getting perspective is important, right? So during my NYC, I get a job. Now, this was a privilege. This was a very big privilege. I got to work with a very impressive man, Amaju Pinnick, yeah, chairman of Brown Egg Group. Like, working with this man sets my mind straight. Like, this man is brilliant. I have to say, this man is brilliant. And this man is a dog-eared entrepreneur. I mean, this man is just building businesses across sectors. I'm talking about somebody building engineering and agriculture at the same time. And this is a man building in the oil industry, oil service industry, and he's also building in the entertainment industry. I mean, this man is just building across different sectors and doing it well, and he's doing it doggedly. And it was just impressive to see. And these are people that just inspired me. And, like my father also inspired me. This was another one that inspired me. And then I got to meet someone like Mr. Onyege. And, these two particular stories were literal proper grace to grace stories. I mean, I can remember, if I'm not mistaken, our chairman actually worked at a bus park, a garage, a bus park. That is where the story started. And I think Mr. Onyege would always talk about how, maybe, I don't know how he was to explain it, but it just started as a young boy just holding camera, right? And it built up to him being in rooms with CEOs all across Africa. I mean, being the major event coordinator for Africa CEO Summit, like top CEOs all across the world coming together, and he's the one setting everything in place. I mean, this man has done some magnificent work, Mr. Onyege. And of it all, I think it's the level of discipline this man has that just kept inspiring me. Right. And he built me up, and I just, I felt on fire, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. And yes, I started. So I resigned, I started my business, and I failed again. Yes, so I failed again. It was bad. It was bad. Good, it was bad. I mean, this was 2 years in the making, and over, I think, well over 3 million soaked into the business. Nothing to show for it. And the goal was last year when I just lost perspective. I lost inspiration, motivation finished. We were finished for road. For finish. Not even financial for finish. But I'm talking about like motivations to move on. It just it was lost, and it got worse when my mom got sick and my mom died. And oof, that was tricky because I'm a mommy's boy, right? I'm a very big mommy's boy. That happening just sets me on a spiral and I shut down. After my mom was dead, I just decided, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it right. Last 6 to 8 months, I've been building up to this moment where I actually kicked things up and I kicked it off right. And well, I was at the conference some time ago, I think early in June, I was in a conference, Omniverse conference, and I got to meet a bunch of young people. But most importantly, I listened to a woman speak, and she said one thing in particular. She said the successful businesses of the next 15 years are businesses that actually kept a digital document or documented their story leading up to that moment. And it got me inspiring. I was like, you know what? Let me make a diary. I started making a physical diary, like you can see on my table. Like my diary is just there, and every day I'm writing on it. And I decided that, you know what, since I'm doing a physical diary, why don't I do a digital version and just share my experience with you guys? So this is also a way of me documenting the process, right? So yeah, welcome to Diary of a Master in a nutshell. So that's how we go here. Not just it. That's how we go here. And in the coming episodes, we'll be talking a bit more about some of the businesses I'm building, what it looks like, the processes I'm also setting up for this business. It's very important to set processes. It's not just about building the business, it's about building the systems. So it's very important you set up the systems right. And, you know, we'll talk about that. And then we'll also talk about like the people and the rules they play in the business. Like you have to know, as an entrepreneur, you have to know the people who are playing the role in your business and all of that. Anyways, that being said, I hope you did enjoy the story. It was a really long story, but yeah, that's my origin story. And I hope this gets to be like a really good experience for you as well. For now, I'm out. I don't know even how to end this, but yeah, you can always check me out on Instagram at masterpaul.official and on TikTok the same masterpaul.official. Then on X, masterpaulhq. Yeah, YouTube as well, masterpaulofficial. So with that being said, I don't know, how do we end this? How do we end this? How do we end this? Peace and love, right?